This is a restricted area. Drill or something? Negative. This sector is clear. Fly by me. I hate drill. Ah! You crazy mother...
All right, we are on the air now. This is the Brewmasters Club official podcast. It's called Craft Brews and Geek News. We are here live talking to you great people about a few things, namely craft brews, a little bit of geek news, national stories, local flavors, but of course our favorite geeky nuggets of pop culture. Who else could be, so well-versed to talk about this stuff except for a couple of guests and myself, Donnie Gallagher, the founder of the Brewmasters Club. First off, I'm here with Nick Gallagher. Nick?
Hey guys, just checking in here. First time on the podcast, so very excited about that. It's just a bit outside of Tampa, located in Lakeland, and like craft brews and kayaking and camping. So it's pretty much all I do, and video games.
Of course, that's why you're here. We're also joined by Ryan Roberts. Ryan?
Hey guys, Ryan here, your friendly neighborhood hophead right here. There you go. Welcome back.
I didn't know you were in the hops and IPAs, Ryan.
Oh yeah, gotta have the hops all night.
Awesome. So for our long distance call, we've got Dane Mirt out of North Carolina. Dane, are you there?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Dane, United States Marine, located in North Carolina. Happy to be here for episode 2.
Excellent. Well, we're happy to have you, man. So just to get right into it, again, what we said, we're going to talk about craft beers. We're going to talk about some geeky stuff, different bits and pieces from pop culture. So we'll get off first with the beer news. What's going on in the world of beer? First, the first piece I want to talk about was something that I thought was pretty cool. I was just kind of looking at some articles this week, and I came across one that said, the price of beer then and now. And it basically has a year-by-year calendar of how much beer cost then and how much beer costs now. So I was born in 85, so the price of a beer, can you guys guess? If you're going to say an average beer is about $5 now, what was the beer back in 85? What would you say?
Ooh. $1.50.
$1.85.
I would say $2.
So you guys are all close. For 85, it was $1.75, which is pretty close. I thought it was kind of interesting. I expected way less, honestly, but whatever. I guess beer was almost as with the rate of inflation and stuff, just about kind of what it is now in terms of the economy and what was going on. Nick, you were 88. Beer was $1.95, so not that much of a difference. Ryan, what year were you born?
87.
87. We have $1.88. And Dane, I think you were on par with Nick, correct?
Yeah, 89.
89. Okay, let's see. And for you, my friend, it was $2.03. So beer's kind of. I don't know what I was really looking for.
Oh, your fault, Dave.
Well, so imagine this. So imagine this like 5-10 years from now, when we've got craft beer in the mix now, and you have beers that are $7, $8, $9 a pop. I think that there's going to be, if you look at this on like a bar graph, there'll be a huge spike to the 2020s, 2022, stuff like that. Anybody else agree, or do you think beer is going to kind of plateau?
I think it's already at a plateau. I think it's currently at a plateau, and it's going to remain at one. I mean, you start talking about some experimental beers or seasonal beers, those can get real pricey really quick.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, I guess it kind of figures, too, like how you're buying your beers. Are you buying them individually or in six-packs? I just went to the store before the podcast here, and I picked up a couple. One of them was, $3 or $3.50. The other was $2. So, I mean, it just depends there. But, if you buy six-packs, then you can usually get a nice craft beer pack for like 10, 12, depending on which one it is, of course, Unless it's a 4-pack, and they usually try to sell those for about 10 or 12, but those are higher in ABV. So, I don't know. That's definitely interesting, Donnie. Does it have anything to do with the venue that you drink them at too, or like if you're at a brewery, or?
Well, let me just preface this article that I happened to stumble upon came across from mooseroots.com. So who the hell knows how accurate this is, or what kind of scientific evidence they have. But Dave, did you have any final thoughts on that one? Got a couple more articles.
Yeah. I just think with everything, milk, bread, food in general, gas. The more expensive things are to get and to purchase, like for breweries, the more expensive their things are to create the beer. I think you'll see an increase in price. As long as we live, it's going to get more pricey as we go. So.
I just wonder how much, like Nick and I think like Ryan said, that like when you start getting into $12 for a delirium 10-ounce beer, I mean, where's that going to go for the inflation? So I see that going skyward. But that's just my thoughts.
Well, depending too, Donnie, like when you go to a sports venue or something like that, I mean, they usually charge $10.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if I want to drink that.
Yeah.
Or watch the game, but I don't know if I want to drink and watch the game at that point.
Yeah, usually, it'll be $10 or $12 for a Bud Light at at Amalie Arena. So
yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
Buy a whole 18-pack.
Yeah.
You end up wearing about half of it.
That's true, especially at a sports match that you sports fans go to. So the second article that I came across, and you guys may have seen this too, it was trending on Facebook, it was trending on Twitter, and it was talking about how beer travel is kind of a real thing. I think it's in California, it's San Diego based, so Stone Brewing Company, of course, San Diego. They're the 10th largest brewery in the United States, and they're kind of cashing in on this beer travel thing by opening up a beer hotel. Did you guys see this story out there?
Yeah, I did.
Not yet.
if you took the time to read through it, it's real short, but basically, Stone Brew, if you haven't had it before, you should. Their beer is insane. It's really good, and they're most known for their Stone Pale Ale and their Arrogant Bastard IPA. So they're working with a hospitality company in Escondido, California, to the tune of $26 million to build a 99-room hotel that's planning to open in early 2018. And basically, it's got a full-blown brewery, packaging center, a 10,000 square foot rooftop garden and pool deck, and beers served specially for their guests. So this being kind of the first one, and the first one done to a $26 million level, do you think this is a trend? Do you see something like this happening in more and more places? I mean, of course, Colorado, Oregon, beer cities come to mind. Tampa, one of those that becoming kind of a beer city. But what do you guys think about this kind of a trend? Cool, not cool?
I think that as long as the swimming pool is full of beer, I think they've got nowhere to go but up. But no, yeah, I mean that seems it seems very niche. I mean, to an avid beer person, they would probably enjoy that, but they'd enjoy it just as much as if they stopped by and then continued on their way to like another pub or brewery.
Just took a dunk in the jacuzzi and then kept on going.
Tootsies a little bit. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's anything to stay about or anything like that. What about you guys?
If it's just going to be the Stone beer, I mean, you got to have the palate for that because their stuff's pretty strong.
Yeah, Ryan, you had a thought?
I did. Yeah, I mean, I like Nick's idea. Just even just stopping by and moving along. I mean, I think that's how many craft beer brewery tour buses are there around, Tampa Bay area that'll take you from craft brewery to craft brewery? I mean, I don't think we always necessarily go to a brewery to just like stay the night. I mean, it'd be nice, don't get me wrong. The view actually in the picture actually looked really nice with the mountains in the background. So I'm sure, if you want that exotic destination, I'm sure that'd be a great thing. Maybe throw in some hot springs or something like that. I'm sure it will catch on. I just don't know how fast, I guess, would be my take on that.
I totally agree. And so just off the top of my head, when you're to do something like that, even with a 10,000 square foot rooftop area and 99 rooms, you're talking $26 million. So now what you're doing is you're blurring that line between craft beer, which we talked about last episode, how small and how craft and how refined and handmade it is. Now you're translating into $26 million, which there are craft breweries that are to the tune of that same amount. But where does that stop being a craft beer and now it's a commercial destination? So for the beer trips, for the beer tours, I think it's pretty cool. But definitely it's definitely something that's unique. But yeah, I don't think that would be it wouldn't be the Best Western or the Fairfield Marriott that's going to be pulling that kind of business. So I don't know.
No,
I'm not sure.
And to your point there, I mean, think about this. When you tie in food to craft beer breweries, you know, a lot of times that adds an extra expense, and that can, you know, get passed down to us, the customers. But we're not always going there for the food either. We're going there for the beer. You know, that's why Big Storm is, you know, really successful out in Pasco County and, you know, things like that. They don't necessarily have food, but they've got great beer. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little iffy on that. So.
Yeah, it's certainly it's big money, so you know who knows where that's gonna kind of pan out.
Yeah.
So the last little article I have for the beer news piece of it. Anybody watching the Olympics? Anybody getting Olympic fever out there? Yeah, Dane knows anything?
Oh yes. Well, I'm more of a women's ping pong type of guy, but yeah, I mean swimming's all right too. I have watched 90% of the women's ping pong coverage. I'm not joking. We get
beach volleyball, man.
3 channels at my house. That's one of them.
Well, so the reason I bring that up is you know people are down there, a lot more people than typical in the Brazil, you know, Rio area. So something I didn't know, Brazil, their beer market is actually considered the 3rd largest beer market in the world, and that's not by mooseroots.com. That's by Forbes magazine. That's by a reputable, you know, magazine, of course, that's done their due diligence. So I thought it was kind of interesting that beer market is so large there. The article that I was reading is about these guys that, you know, knew the Olympics were coming, and of course, just a few years ago, had started, you know, breweries there. There was 2 different breweries that started there, and that they're doing really well. So it was kind of just news to me in general that Brazil as a market is so large. I think that's kind of unusual because as a craft beer person in America, you never really think about a place like Brazil having such a huge market. I would only imagine that they're behind us and the UK. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's just Europe in general, but I thought it was kind of interesting. Anybody have any beer ties to the Olympics?
Well, I mean, it sounds like a solid business strategy. I don't know, you know, how the beer would taste in a place where I'm not willing to go in the water. I mean, just right off the top of my head, I can only assume that there's Hulk's blood in the majority of these beers. I've seen a movie or 2. Stan Lee almost died for that, so it's pretty serious.
It's where all the trash comes from. It's just all the beer bottles in the freaking water.
Right. Yeah.
Well, hopefully they're not brewing their beer in the same water that the U.S. rowing team was having so many problems with, or whatever, because that was just awful. But keep watching. I'm telling you, if you haven't tuned into that beach volleyball, ladies beach volleyball, can be a lot of fun to watch.
Where it's
the last
track and field now too. Don't
Yeah.
forget about track and field.
Yeah,
Usain
that's
Bolt
true.
killed it last night. So.
Yeah, that's it's been a fun Olympics so far. But the reason that Brazil story kind of tied in is that I brought it back when we did our Florida Craft Beer Day in 2016 for the first time. We brought up some points about Florida. So what we did is we launched this event in 2016, February 15th, which it was the inaugural day, the first day that craft beer was actually distributed and sold, that a brewery opened for the first time in the southeastern United States, and it was right here in Tampa Bay. It was called Florida Brewing Company, but over time that's transferred into so much money coming in for the state. I think again it's $2.3 billion, just a ton of cash coming in from beer itself. But Florida itself, of course, has a rapidly growing and rapidly changing beer scene. Since we started, or I guess when breweries started to be categorized, and this was a couple years later, but in 2015 there were 151 breweries in the state of Florida alone. That's from 2 years prior. So from 2013, that's a 200% increase. I mean, it's insane how much craft beer has taken off, not just in the state of Florida, but you see now Brazil and these other places. It's just great what this can do for again, local economies and for states and for countries. It's a phenomenal thing that is really unmatched. So moving on from the craft beer segment, we always like to go into a little bit of app news, what we're kind of doing with the app, and then we'll touch on what we're drinking now and what we'd like to drink. So again, those of you that may not know, again, because we're a brand new podcast, we probably have all new listeners. This segment of the podcast that we talk about, this one is all about the Brewmasters Club app, which is currently available on iTunes. We are a crowd-funded, community-driven app and company. hence this podcast where we get our content is from you, the folks out there in the community, talking, drinking, living the life of a craft beer enthusiast. We're not intended to replace your favorite social media network by using the app. The app is merely a tool. It's just there to help guide folks on what they want to drink, what they may not know of drinking, or some new things. Old beer drinker, new beer drinker, someone that considers yourself an expert. Everybody can find some fun with their app. So with that said, we'll kind of move from the app section onto my favorite section. What are you drinking? What do you want to drink? Ryan, I know you came to the table today with something. Why don't you tell us about it?
I did, yes. This is one of my newest favorite beers here. It's called the Hop Nosh IPA, and it's from the, I believe I'm pronouncing it, Juanita, something like that. It's UINTA or Wenta, and very, very good beer, 7.3%. Real quick on the taste of it, an IPA sometimes has that really harsh bite. This, it's got that hopness to it, but it's smoother. So it really, for me, it's really paired well with like some chicken dishes that I've cooked and also some really good steak dishes that I've cooked, and really help bring out the profile and those flavors there. But I also have another one. It's in the fridge. I gotta get it, but it's the Victory, and it's their Imperial Stout. So I'm looking forward to trying that, cracking that open later. I wish I had the opportunity to show you guys, but I don't know what it tastes like yet because I haven't had it. So definitely checking out those two tonight. So yeah. What about you, Dane? What do you got?
So tonight I'm not drinking anything. I actually got a weigh-in tomorrow, so there's that. But what I do want to try is it's called San Francisco Anchor Brewing. It's their small beer. I guess this is kind of a new fad that's going on, small beers, or they call them table beers. Kind of a funky bottle, but I want to try it out. It's got low ABV, but supposedly it's got great flavor. And that's, again, San Francisco Anchor Brewing. It's their small beer. That's what I'll be trying next.
Very good. Sounds awesome. I don't think we've had that one from Anchorhead, but Nick, what do you got? I know you went to a couple different breweries, Lakeland being one of them. You got any stories from either one of those? Feel free to talk about a couple. The first episode I talked about like 5. So.
So there are 2 beers the craft beers that I'm actually very interested in and recently got to enjoy for the first time. So the first one, I don't have any information on it, was pretty much run-of-the-mill. It was Pig's Beer by Lakeland Brewery. The closest thing to Bud Light.
Does it have actual pigs?
Well, you can order it without the pigs, but I mean, I don't see the point in that. No, but the one that I really liked was the Acer Nook. It's called Acer Nook, and it's named after a motel in Lakeland, believe it or not, which, that's as mainstream as it gets right there. But it's pretty good. The ABV on it, 5.3 is what I'm seeing right here. But I tried it. I loved it. It's got, honestly, my opinion is, Florida beers should have Florida in them. So citrus, a lot of weird stuff. It's got tangerines in them. But nice little bourbon, vanilla kind of sweet flavor, which is pretty nice. But probably the most embarrassing part of the whole story is I proceeded to ride up on my bicycle and chain my bike to the front porch area, and then I walked in, and the first thing I said is like, "Oh, you guys got a bike lock around here?" And the lady goes, "Yeah, she was right over there through the window." And I drove right past a bike lock and just chained my bike to the front door area, like a front patio.
Were you drunk before you got there?
I mean, there was a farmer's market, and I'm not gonna lie, there were beers there too. So I mean, it was a sampling. It was more of like a tour to beers. So no, those were the 2. Those were my favorites for the day. It was the Pig's Beer by Lakeland Brewery, and then also the Acer Nook by Lakeland Brewery. But I did see all the way out here in sleepy little Lakeland, a party bus for the stamped on the side. The Tampa Brew Bus had actually stopped by. I guess this was like the last stop on their run or something of that nature. I know they hit one of the other breweries on the way. But I guess this is the last leg of their journey. But they all showed up right around 8, 9 o'clock, so looked like a good time. Definitely something to potentially look into in the future.
Very good. Well, I was so we just did this podcast. Let's see, on Saturday, and I had Friday. I had a ton of different beers to talk about, and of course, all of those are gone. So as I was walking through this store on my way home today, I was like, you know what, man, I'm just gonna get an old favorite, which I don't know if you guys or how many of these you guys drink, but Sierra Nevada makes just a fantastic product. Yeah, I hear you clapping. All their beers are good. I mean, they have one of the most iconic and I would say like precursor IPAs out there. Their standard Sierra Nevada, IPA is just an American IPA, but it's just really good. And it's been around for so long that it was the precursor to American craft beer. So you always got to give them, of course, the applause and the credit for doing and just a good product before it was so big. But the product that I grabbed today was the Sierra Nevada Torpedo. So it's an extra IPA. It's an extra American ale or American IPA. Just a fantastic beer. It's super hoppy. I mean, I've been in a kick with IPAs now for a long, long time. Love them, just absolutely love them. But this one's got about 7.2% alcohol, so it gets the job done. It's available all year round. It's, again, like you said, Nick, it's got the complex citrus pine kind of taste to it. It's got a really strong herbal character, and it's got a score of 92 on Beer Advocate. So, I mean, it's pretty good beer if you haven't had a Torpedo, but, again, you've got to be ready for the hop kick because it will certainly kick you right in the ass without hesitating. So
on Donnie, to go with that, that is my favorite IPA. I mean,
the first or the Torpedo?
The Torpedo. Yeah, that's my favorite IPA. I mean, I love Cigar City Brewery Highlight, but that's definitely my go-to. And Publix does a great job of keeping those stocked, or at least when I go in, I get the last one there. But definitely a fantastic job with that one. So
very good. So on this next segment, what we'll do here is we will go into our Geek News segment. Nick, you were not here on this segment last week, and I really wanted to find out what your thoughts were because we had done this on Friday, and the new Rogue One trailer launched on Thursday. So I won't beat it up about Star Wars Rogue One unless we have something in the last 5 days or so that you wanted to add to it, but now the international trailer is out, and we've got a little bit more information. I really want to hear your thoughts on it. But before you chime in, so just to sum what you wanted to do, just for the other guys here to contribute to this, I had a question to pose to you too. So while he's thinking about what he thought of the international trailer and all that kind of jazz about Rogue One, think about Ryan and Dane. Think about what kind of fan you are, because I heard this on Steel Wars. If you guys don't listen to that podcast, Steel Wars is really good, and it's out of Australia. And this guy, he's a comedian. He has on a lot of other comedians. They talk about Star Wars, and that's really all they talk about. Which is, again, not what I want to talk about all day here, but you've got to give him some credit. He brought up this question where it's what kind of fan are you? Because there's guys like the head writers and the guy who created StarWarsNewsNet.com who is very very pro trailers and information and spoilers, to the fact of before The Force Awakens, he had, spent a 2-year stint just grabbing all sorts of information, everything he can, all the trailers, all the rumors, speculation, talking about it every day. And what he took about that was, I had to enjoy this Force Awakens movie for 2 additional years before it even came out. So that's one kind of fan. Then you have the second fan who doesn't even want to go to the grocery store or leave his house because he's afraid that he's going to walk up to something or see a flyer in the mail, or perhaps be at the next stall over in a public restroom where someone talks about Han Solo dying. You just don't. If you haven't seen it already, you know what? Shame on you. But I had to bring it up, Dane, because it's so relevant. So while Nick's thinking about that, Dane, you want to kick us off? Which kind of fan are you? Are you the fan that wants to hear everything? Or are you the fan that doesn't want to hear anything at all?
Okay, so for Star Wars, I'm the fan who doesn't want to hear anything at all. I want to speculate.
Which makes that so much worse.
I want to speculate. I want to see it firsthand. Anything other than Star Wars, spoilers, I don't care. I want to know what happens. But with Star Wars, it's a different story. Now, you kind of touched on the story we dealt with. for this last movie, but coming out of boot camp for the Marine Corps, you guys all waited to see the movie with me, and it was going to be an awesome experience. Donnie brewed up some blue milk. It was an awesome time. So for the viewers, we pre-gamed pretty good, hit the movie theater. It was a late showing, and the movie had been out for a week or two, maybe even longer, if I remember correctly. So we're feeling good, feeling right. We get in the movie theater. Donnie and Ryan go to, I think the three bros hit up the bar. Like movie theaters here in Tampa have bars, so they hit up the bar. So you know what, guys? I'm gonna make a head call real quick. Going in the bathroom, and I'm doing my business, and this little kid comes in with his dad. They've just seen the movie, and the kid says, "I can't believe Han Solo got killed," something like that. And I about lost my ish. Freaked out. Come in to the bar, and I tell the guys, I've heard the worst news possible. They could tell I was down, and the one thing, Donnie was like, "You better not tell me. You better not say a word." So Ryan, being a great friend, bought me a beer, and it was all good. During that
Love
time
you, buddy.
of the movie, yeah, during the time of the movie when that was about to happen, I said, "I know what happens here. Stand by." So, roundhouse kick to a kid's face if you tell me anything about Star Wars.
Okay. Well, it's just such a shame because now knowing that you're that guy that doesn't want to hear anything, and that makes that even hurt so much more. So I'm so sorry, Dane, but it was still a good experience. Ryan, which type of fan are you? And then I'll move on to Nick.
Yeah, for Star Wars or for any movie, I'm a little bit of the opposite. I really don't like watching previews. I don't like seeing what's going to happen. And as far as the fan that I am for Star Wars, I would say that I'm okay with what happens. I'm okay with how it unfolds. I know that's taboo for some people because it's very much a very passionate thing, and I love the series. I love everything about it. I've never been fully immersed into it. But when it comes to movies in general, don't tell me what happens. And I am very annoyed sometimes when people give me the worst critic review ever because I haven't seen the movie yet. So whatever the movie is, if you say it's bad or if you say it's good, I just want to see it for myself. A little bit like Dane there. To fully understand why it's bad, if that's the case. But definitely for any movie, I just don't want to know anything about it until I see it, and then I can break it down from there. So, and that was a very tragic experience for Dane. I very vividly remember that. I don't think I'll ever forget it either. I don't think he will, but I know next time the new movie comes out, I'm sure he'll be wearing earplugs to the theater.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. And that was the alternative. They said, there's other guys that sit there with earbuds on in the movie theater because they don't want to watch the previews. They don't want to know. But Nick, tell us your thoughts on first the international trailer. Second, what kind of fan you are, and then I'll just talk about what kind of fan I am. We can move into the actual kind of geeky news that we got.
Yeah, so I'm kind of a hybrid fan, if you will. When things happen in the movie that I didn't expect, that's awesome. When somebody ruins it, that's not ideal, but also I did want to know that. So actually, what kind of fan I am is I'm one who treats any sort of big news like actual news. So I just say, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, if something's broke, if a story gets spoiled, I just go, I'm like, whoa, like, that's big news. Like, that's almost like, you raise minimum wage in my book. I'm like, well, okay, I'm here, I'm with it, I understand, like, it's crazy. But yeah, no, I like it. I mean, sometimes things are spoiled, sometimes things aren't. That's great. I mean, as long as Daryl's doesn't die, I'm cool with it. I'll keep watching. But oh yes, and so
Team Glenn.
yeah, there you go. But in any event, I hope that answered the question.
So that answered that question. What about the international trailer for Rogue One? I know you saw it.
Yes. In the future, why aren't all our cities looking like pimples? We should be doing this now.
Talk to the scientists.
Well, yeah. I mean, I should talk to them first, but clearly, so like, there's like new things with more beards that are sprinkled in, but other than that, I'm like, everything seems right on point where it was. I mean, the beards help, but they convey age. I'll say that. But I mean, it looked nice. It looked really good. That's cool. Rocket launcher or RPGs on an AT-AT. That's not a laser, but that's fine. That's whatever. We won't get into that.
Dane's got his own theory on what happens in the immediate here speculation, since we're not talking anything that's spoiler, but he's got his own theory on that and a certain Mr. Vader in his exposure time that I don't seem to agree with him on either of.
Vader's a bait and switch. You'll see him for 2 minutes, and the rocket launcher will take down the AT-ACT, which is bigger than the AT-AT. And if you remember in the old movies, those AT-ATs were hard to take down, and this guy's gonna take it down with a rocket launcher. So, we'll see.
Right in the neck.
That's my speculation.
Yeah, well, I don't see the bitch slap taking him down, but that's just me. And for Mr. D, Darth James Vader is not going to be in it for just 2 minutes. He's absolutely going to be a bigger presence, but that's just again my own speculation. Anything last, Laos or Nick? You good? Or you good on?
It was cool seeing the world's first U-wing. That's always a fun one. It's right up there with a Q-wing, which is always just an awful time.
Makes everybody sick. It's those G-forces, man.
If you don't know what the Q-wing is, then just YouTube Q-wing Robot Chicken, and you'll learn that that's, first off, fake, second off, the worst.
Just the worst.
They literally show a guy just doing circles and throwing up in his own cockpit. He's just hang on, just man, there goes. They're like, stay on target. He's just, it's bad.
Ryan, did you have any final thoughts?
I'm good on the Star Wars, man. You guys lost me at C-3PO. I don't know what's going on.
We never said C-3PO, so shame.
I know.
We always leave you. It's okay. We always leave you. My last piece on that. I take the same kind of mantra in terms of spoilers and stuff. It's spoilers, that was forced in there, but it's not spoilers. You watch a trailer, yes, you get spoiled, but really they're trying to introduce a story. So it's not that it's spoiling anything. I like to get in as much as I can about the story and about the event, about the movie leading up to it. But I also know where the bait and switch is, where the bait and click is. Where they say, we know the real identity of XYZ. Like, well, probably you don't, because nobody knows that. Disney's not stupid, so they're not gonna let anybody know that unless it's the movies. So I don't click on those articles, but I won't hide in my house because I'm afraid of the pairs at the grocery store talking to me and telling me Star Wars spoilers. So not gonna be worried about it. So the next piece that I had on this was a bit of Nintendo news, just because I used to be a big Nintendo fan. In fact, when we were younger, in our pre-teens, we used to sit at our house and play Mario Kart till wee hours in the morning in between school and homework and whatnot. So huge Nintendo fan. Nintendo hasn't really impressed me in the recent years, but with their hiatus since the Wii U, which was just really terrible. I had some notes about this. So Ryan, I don't know if you had something in mind to talk that was more geeky than this, which is very possible. But if you have something, just cut me off, and I can give you the cliff notes on this Nintendo NX, unless you wanted to talk about it.
No, I'm definitely I'm thrilled with this new thing coming out for Nintendo. I'm ecstatic. Share the news.
All right, so we'll kind of break down each point here. I've got about 5 bullet points just to talk about, and then we can kind of reflect on each one, and then just kind of power through if there is any of the things you guys want to touch on. So first off, and these points came from majority of E3, some interviews, of course, most of those in Japanese and other stuff that was taken in between now and E3. A lot of it's speculation too. But so far, what we know is that the Nintendo system that's going to be trying to compete with, of course, the next Xbox, Scorpio, and the next Neo, PS4 Neo, or whatever they're going to call it, is this thing called the Nintendo NX. And they're hoping to launch it for a March 2017 release, which is interesting because it's really far away and people are already talking about it. But what I found was the weirdest thing about this is that it's going to be this hybrid console handheld thing. There's some patents that were released that, of course, that were filed by Nintendo and such like that that kind of paint a picture. But, I mean, a handheld console system hybrid. Like, Nick, do you have any thoughts on what that might even look like? I mean, what that might function like?
So I feel like it's going to be a cross between iRobot and Sega Game Gear, where you just you have a walking robot who just bends over.
Does he play the game for you?
Sonic on his back. Like I feel like that's how that's going to go down. But I mean, that's all. I'm just going off the description, of course. I don't have any of the schematics or I didn't pull any of the permits or anything.
Yeah, nobody does yet, but what it looked like, it was something that kind of broke off the screen, so a tablet screen that you could then set that screen on like a docking station, and then you could actually play 1080p or full games. Dane, did you have any thoughts on the fact that this thing might be a console hybrid handheld type of thing? I mean, what would that even look like to you?
So the Wii U kind of tried to do that in a sense where you had the gamepad with the screen, and you could take that gamepad, and as long as you're within a certain zone of the Wii U, you could play the game on the pad. So I think it's going to kind of look like that. Also, PlayStation 3 with the PS Vita, you could quit playing your PlayStation 3 at home, take your PS Vita, go outside, and pull out the handheld like that. So I think it might go along the lines of that. As long as they don't try the new way to play gimmick that they did with the Wii U, I think they'll be good. I read that I think they're coming out with detachable controllers, which I like. As long as they go back to a controller-based system, I think they're doing the right thing. Now, as far as the specs, of course, we don't know much, if anything. This new Scorpio with 6 teraflops or whatever. Xbox One and PS4 have only been out for 3 years, and they're coming out with this stuff that's supposed to be 4 times stronger than the consoles we're seeing now. And the only thing I really know is it's going to be compatible with 4K TV, which nobody really has.
Right.
So I hope the NX is dumbed down to where, not dumbed down, that's a bad phrase, but on par with maybe a PS4, Xbox One now, to where I could play it on my just regular LED or LCD TV and not, be forced to get a 4K.
Well, now you're just bragging, but yeah.
So that's what I think about it. I have a lot of notes about it, but I think they're going in the right direction. As long as it's going to be powerful enough, then third parties will feel comfortable supporting it, because games like NBA 2K, Madden, Call of Duty.
2K going back. What are they on, like
2K16?
NBA Jams, Gallagher, they've got to be able to handle it.
They need to be powerful enough to support the third-party games. And if they do that, they will sell copies of the NX, because people love Zelda, people love Mario. If you put, you can't just have Zelda and Mario. You're not going to sell consoles that way. So.
Right. Yeah. Ryan, thoughts?
This is all news to me, and I'll tell you why. I thought that when you guys started talking about Nintendo, we were going to be talking about that new little console that's coming out in, November or something like that, October, November. It's going to have all the, 60 games from the original console.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we can talk about that too. That thing's awesome. I'm buying one for sure.
I'm more excited about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought we were talking about.
The NES Classic or whatever.
Right.
on what you just talked about.
Well, those classic games create nostalgia, so like that's awesome, and I'm gonna buy that for sure. You've already got
$60.
Sega talk, yeah. Well, that's a deal. But you've already got Sega making theirs, and there'll be imagine one day there'll be a Dreamcast and an N64. I mean, who the hell knows? But
Just call it Crazy.
just call
That's
it what?
fine. Just call it Crazy Taxi. That's the only game.
Yeah, that's all it was for Dreamcast. So, so the next one for the NX, and Ryan, if this is news to you, then just tune in, my friend.
I am. I'm a listener right now. I'm good.
They're bringing cartridges back, or at least it's rumored that they're going to bring cartridges back. I think it's kind of interesting that they're going to do that, but if you think about it, cartridges for your original Game Boy, were years ahead of their time. Cartridges for the NES, for the Super Nintendo, for all the games, including the N64. We come to an age now where you can buy a USB flash drive that's 64 bits or 64 gigs for $5. I mean, for pennies in the dollar. So at the end of the day, why not go back to cartridges? You probably put a whole lot more information on there. Do you not agree?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. I mean, for a while, I mean, this is a footnote in history, but they were selling albums of music on USB drives. No one remembers this because this never took off, but I saw it one time at a Best Buy. There was an Usher album on USB, and I was like, I'll buy that because I can use it when I delete Usher. I literally saw multiple uses. It was like the slap chop of music. I was like, yeah, that sounds great. Like I could use Usher and then throw that in the garbage and then go ahead and do something else with it. So that sounds wonderful.
All right, so good. Thanks for that insight. The last piece about this.
You got it bad, Nick. You got it bad.
Did you have any thoughts about the cartridges going back to that, Dane?
Hey, they're still using them now on their DSs. I know they're really small, but it's still considered a cartridge. I think it's smart. I think it's cool. As long as I don't have to lick them or blow on them after a long time, count me in.
Don't say that's what she said. So the last
one
piece,
of those little duster cans.
the last piece about the NX that I had was that Dane, I think you mentioned 4K and whatnot, but the last piece of speculation I had from this article, and this was from what I consider a credible source. It was, I think, digitaltrends.com, so pretty good source there. They're speculating, or at least that it was discovered, they're speculating that, gameplay graphics, looking at 900p, 60 frames per second, so just under 1080p, which is currently, on par, if not a half step down from, the Xbox and the PS4. But they also say that the NX will support 40K or 4K at 60 frames per second. So it's not like they won't support that higher end TV, but it sounds like they're not going to force you to purchase one. So that's kind of refreshing. If that's a true statement, I'm not sure. Did you guys have any final thoughts on this new Nintendo NX thing?
No.
Kingdom Hearts 3, cartridges, detachable controllers,
Zelda.
Zelda game.
That's
Zelda
all I'm
where
looking for.
I'm not
That's all.
Zelda where I'm not having to use motion controller.
Yep.
Count me in.
I loved Skyward Sword, but it was really stupid. Like, it just wasn't. I didn't like the way that they introduced that. But the graphics on that and the story and stuff I thought was great. So.
And another thing, they don't have to be on par with the Scorpio and the freaking, what's it called, Neo. They don't have to be on par with that because people aren't going to want them because they're coming out right after the One and the PS4. The Xbox Slim just came out, and that's a little bit more powerful than the Xbox One. Are there different options? Does it have to be 4K? I'm not buying into that. I don't think other people are. So I think the NX is going to be just fine.
Yeah. Speaking of that, which you just kind of brought up about the Neo, so I know, Nick, that you've kind of been keeping up with the Holocron or the Holo, whatever it's called, from Microsoft, and what's making bigger news in terms of a timeline is the Neo or PlayStation and their VR. which again, now you buy your $400 PlayStation, you've got to buy a $400 VR thing. Do you think that in not making a push for that, Nintendo will suffer? Or do you think that PlayStation might get some growth and kind of pave the way for this VR thing and see what the rest of the console manufacturers can do?
I don't know. So, I mean, I need pop-ups in my face. Just, I need to be pushing them off. Just trying to peek at, like, Star Wars. I'm trying to watch my movie, and that's what I need in my life.
But I'm a big fan.
Firewall, bro.
Yeah, huge. I need a wall of fire. Dane's right. I need a wall of fire, just a virtual wall of fire. But just, I don't know, man. At the end of the day, it's not something I'm gonna, have 3 or 4 people watch a movie on. You can't really. I guess I'm not in the know enough on that. I need to do a little bit more research before I have an opinion.
I love VR. I think it's fantastic. But Dane, what were your thoughts on that?
VR's okay. I went to Disney Quest and they had a VR thing, and it was like from 1992, and it had cobwebs on it.
Was Robin Williams still doing the voice?
Yeah, you're like fighting aliens with a sword or something. It was ridiculous. If VR is better nowadays, I haven't experienced any of it. I don't know if I'm going to want to buy a headset and stick my phone in it and it costs me $1 million. I'm not sure I want to do that. When I enjoy just sitting and watching a TV and using a controller. So VR, it's a niche thing. Some people like it, some people won't. I feel like they're trying to force it down our throats right now because it's new and cool, all that good stuff. But I'm not buying it. I probably never will. And I don't know. It's the future, though.
It is the future. I love it. I think it's so cool. But right now they only have demos that are expensive, about 4 minutes for $60, and a headset that's going to cost me the equal price, if not more, than the original system I bought it for. So, you're talking Oculus Rift. It's $1,200. That's absolute bullshit. I can't even afford that or think about affording that. Ryan, any closing arguments on that?
Yeah, no, I'm not really. I haven't tried any VR yet, so I'm not really sure what to say other than I can't see myself putting something like right here when I've got a big 55-inch screen TV already in my face. I think 3D might be cool if we can somehow tie that into something. That might be a little better, make it more popping out and, still see my surroundings kind of thing. But, until I actually try it, maybe I'll change my mind. But for right now, I just don't see myself doing it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Well, it's good insight. It's all good opinion. I've actually tried it. When it's done right, it's done really cool. But you're right. It's like talking about a $3,000 DVD player. In the early 2000s, 90s, whatever it was, when it was that much. Laserdisc. Yeah, it's great technology until it's really here. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Never know. It might be fun.
It's true. So at this point, what we'll do is we'll kind of move on from the news, and what we would typically do is take some letters from the audience, which would be primarily tweets or Facebook posts, questions, YouTube comments, anything like that we have. So if you want to contribute to the conversation, if you want to be heard, or you want to get your Twitter handle announced on live podcast or stage podcast, feel free to just hashtag us at Brewmasters Club. So it's hashtag Brewmasters Club on Facebook, on Twitter. Or visit our YouTube channel at Brewmasters Club and go ahead and just leave a comment on some of these videos. Every week we'll go ahead and flip through them. We'll grab some of the best comments or questions, and we will try to answer them on air. None of us are singular experts on any of this content. We're strictly here speculating, talking about what we do know because we're passionate, we enjoy it, and of course we have a little bit of the force which binds and holds us together. So, guys, what we're going to do here is we will see everybody next week. Before we leave, we'll leave everybody introductions on how to contact each of us. But please do tune in. What we're going to have next week is a fresh, a hot load of sweet, juicy gossip to talk about in terms of tech news, craft brews, and all sorts of great things. Nick, where can they find you on the social media sphere?
So, as of right now, my Twitter is currently down.
Ryan said the same thing last week.
You know what? It was it's a fan belt on mine, so I gotta get it looked at. But it's the meeting will be happening. It's just it's a matter of button presses, and we're getting there. So,
No problem. No problem. Mr. Dane, where can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook, Dane Mirt, M-I-R-T. You can find me on Snapchat. It's MainDirt11.
That's confusing.
And you can find me just my name, different letters. But anyways, it's clever. Whatever.
It is clever. I like the rhyme too.
Twitter, DT Mirt. I know I said last time it was Dan_Mirt. That's wrong. It's DT Mirt.
All those fan tweets are lost in space now because they couldn't get you, Dane.
How about you, Mr. Roberts?
No.
Go to Facebook, search for the Brewmasters Club, and just chat in there and put my name, and Donnie will let me know that people are asking questions.
That's a cop-out, man. That's a cop-out.
A friend type of situation. This is not out, like, to become a millionaire. This is an actual. Okay, that's fine.
I've got to get that Twitter handle. I still haven't figured out a really good name. So.
Well, just be
How
clever.
to use Twitter.
Just be clever, whatever you do.
Jail, maybe 5,000.
You can always find us, of course, on Twitter, as I mentioned, on Instagram, Facebook as well, all at Brewmasters Club. Visit us online at www.brewmasters.club. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the great conversation. Guys, we will chat with everybody and, of course, feedback to you listeners next week. Thank you very much. Have a great week.
Y'all be well.
Bye.